Good morning, everyone. Jim Clark here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary to share another contemplative focus with you today. The focus that we want to entertain today, that we want to consider, is the question, is there life before death? Now, this is kind of a turnaround from most people's experience. It's not uncommon for people to consider the questions about life after death. But for most people, this is simply an unknown, lending itself to speculation and various beliefs. A less familiar perspective is the holistic one, and this requires a lifelong commitment to meditation, the primary balancing technique that allows one to develop the trans-egoic awareness that transcends the limited egoic awareness of body, emotions, and mind. In other words, it's really a transition that you develop over time as a meditator, where the mind is now secondary to the heart. And the heart awareness, the intelligence of the heart is taking over the experience of the one who has gone through this experience, gone through all these years of meditation to get the balance to allow themselves to have that expanded state of awareness. The trans-egoic perspective is really asking, how alive are you before you die? We all know that this experience has an end to it. It had a beginning, it has an end. And while we're in this experience, while we still have time to ask these questions and pursue them, we can move ourselves into that state of being, that expanded state of awareness, and establish it as a constant in our experience. And from that, we can ask ourselves, is there life before death? How alive am I? How aware am I? And how aware am I of myself as I go through life? Even after all these years of meditation, there's still no end to the growth that's possible. It's only a trans-egoic perspective, from that perspective, that we can ask this question, is there life before death? It's kind of like, it reminds me of the zombie movies, where people go through life and they're just on automatic. It's the have a nice day at the cash register experience. The words come out, but there's no awareness in that. There's no full involvement in that statement, have a nice day. It's just an automatic response to the fact that you're there. And everybody kind of realizes it, but we do it anyway. This is automatic and limited awareness experience. What we're talking about here is there an awareness of life that goes way beyond that, before you die, and while you're still having the human experience? And the real answer to that question is always one of balance. If you're not meditating, if you're not haven't pursued and developed a commitment to balance as a lifelong commitment, where that's your priority in your life, you're going to meditate every day because there's something that drives you to that decision. This is when you're ready for that development, when you're ready to go beyond your mind and move into your heart. And I know that when I first started meditating, it was in response to an awakening experience where I had the experience of myself as blissful consciousness, or unity consciousness. And it was so powerful and so blissful that I've never found anything in life that was worth my dedication and commitment other than that. So from that point on, that was it for me. And for other people, they have other ways of approaching it. There's a lot of different ways that people experience some kind of motivation to meditate, depending on where they are in their journey. We're all journeying towards the same end, which is to go beyond the human, to master the human experience in terms of going beyond the limitations of an egoic experience, where we're living in fear, where we're living in a limited awareness of who we are and what life is. And we do it in our own way. Everybody's having the experiences that they need to have in order to fulfill this, shall we say, development. We're all moving towards that end. We're all evolving to that end. So, and this is the understanding that my teacher gave us, is that if you find yourself in the presence of a living master, it's because you have evolved yourself to that point in your journey. And if you don't find yourself in such an experience, it's because you're not quite ready for it yet. We don't get experiences that we're not ready for, even though the ego will often try to convince us that just about all experiences are way beyond what we can handle. So the heart of this contemplation, is there a life before death, is how alive are you? How blissful are you? How aware are you? When you are interacting with other people, when you're, or even by yourself without any company at all, how aware are you then? What is your experience? In my experience, there is always a constant awareness of sourceful being. It doesn't mean that my mind isn't thinking, because oftentimes it is. In the world we live in today, the demands for interaction with the internet and with the media and so forth and so on being what it is, the information age is so huge and so distorted and so twisted that it's almost impossible to not interact with it in some way or form or another, at least to be aware of it anyway, because we get things, we get emails, we get invitations to attend things virtually, and so our life has reached out beyond our immediate surroundings now in this way, and our interactions with the world are much more in terms of frequency. Every day we have interactions with people and places and news about someplace in the world and what's going on, usually bad news. And this is the environment that mankind has developed in the name of progress. The internet was supposed to be a great boon to mankind, because now we could communicate with each other, but can we communicate with each other, or do we just unload our opinions and our prejudices and leave it at that, hoping that people will join us in our belief? And this is the way the egoic limitations work. It's always competition and trying to win, trying to get more popularity, more people to join you in what you believe. And this is exactly what's been happening for day one on Earth. The development of religion, the development of belief systems, and the wars around that, and all the cruelty that's happened between people around this. Just because you believe something without ever having been aware enough to say, I believe it, but I don't. Do I really know this? Have I had any experience to validate my own beliefs? And if the answer is no, which it usually is with most people in the world, it goes unnoticed and unrecognized, and there's no acknowledgement of that. There's just an ego trying to win over the other. The story of the other. Remember, not too long ago I did one on that. The story of the other is the greatest story ever told, because that is the core experience in the illusion in the human experience, which is very, very powerful here on Earth. We have come out of our state of blissful being that we have after the human experience automatically, because we're no longer contained and limited by an ego and by the human body. So, but we don't remember this, of course. At least most people don't remember that. Some do. Some wake up all of a sudden and they have some insight into who they were before they were born. And that might be another egoic experience, and their identification with that ego at that time, or it might just be the awareness that, oh yeah, there's a lot more to life than what we see and what we do here on earth. It's not solid, it's not physical, it's spiritual. Everything is spiritual, everything is holy, everything is beautiful, and everything is one source consciousness. It's a development that's been created for our journey here, and we are the ones creating it. Most people don't want to take credit for or responsibility for their experience here. If they're feeling terrible, if they're angry, if they're scared, it's something out there or someone out there that's causing that upset, that pain, that suffering. And sometimes there's some truth in that, but the point is that we create our experience. We are very powerful beings here, and if we don't take responsibility for our creation, then we're always being the victim of our own creation, which is kind of silly when you think about it, but don't think about it. And this is a point that my teacher brought out to us time and time again, is that as you meditate, as you commit yourself to the life of holistic lifestyle and meditation, and you keep expanding your own awareness, you will become aware of how you create the experiences in your life. And if they're not pleasurable, if they're not truthful, which means is another way he said that they're not blissful, then you have the opportunity to let go of the beliefs that are behind that experience. What prompted you to create that? What identification led you to that? And most of them are egoic identifications that led you to have an experience sometime in your life where you were hurt, or where you were cast out of a group of people that you wanted to belong to, and so forth and so on. It's that not belonging, that being less than the other. These kind of beliefs, these are self values that we want to have, but we haven't quite got there yet, because there's still some beliefs in us that still have the strength to pop up here and there that tell us that we're not worthy. We are unworthy human beings, and that we can't have the things that we want in this life, which is totally not true. But to get to that truth, you have to realize your truth. You can't just believe in something. You have to realize it. You have to have that moment-to-moment experience of expanded awareness and identification of the truth of who you are. One source conscious, one blissful consciousness. And when you get there as a constant, you have mastered the human experience. This is what all meditators want to do, consciously or otherwise. They want to master their experience while they're here and they're alive. Because once you die, if you haven't done that yet, you'll have to come back and try it again. And which is not a bad thing. There's no right and wrong ultimately. It's just the way things work out. And it's the way that it's another experience that you have to have before you can be complete. And if you didn't make it in this life, that's fine, because you had the experiences that you had, you did what you came here to do, and you accomplished it, but not as an ego. All the experiences that we have as human beings are dictated by our truth. It's our truth that's saying, okay, you need this experience now. It's us talking to ourselves and leading ourselves to the reality that we are not individuals. We are all the same blissful consciousness. We may be different expressions of that blissful consciousness, but in the be-all and end-all of existence, there is only one blissful consciousness, and we are it. Everything in existence is that. One blissful consciousness. Simple. But very hard to get to in terms of your experience. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. It's been a while since I've been able to do one of these live streams, and I'm happy to do it again. It's been nice to have a little break, but this is what I'm here for, and this is how I fulfill my journey towards that end. So until next week, I bid you adieu, and I thank you for watching today. I will see you here again next week.